Hi guys, so this video was actually supposed to be a part of my Q&A that was posted earlier. I realized that this story, just to be told correctly, needed its own video. So I've kind of just moshed this footage and put it into a separate video for you guys so that you can truly understand how Dan and I became Dan and I. So yeah, if it's in the beginning, if it seems a little weird, like I'm kind of talking about a Q&A or whatnot, it's because in the beginning of the footage I was still going to put this in that video, and then by the end of it I was like, this is too long, it needs to be told the right way. Dan and I grew up in neighboring towns, and he is older than I am. I would go out with my friends, and he was a bartender in town, in like one town, and I would go out with my friends and like, you know, like he would be the bartender, but like I would never go up to the bar. I always would like sneak into these bars because all of my friends my whole life have always been way older than me. Like even today, now, majority of my friends are significantly older than me. Like they're Dan's age instead of my age. I just always hung out with older people. I've always been an old soul. So I would like sneak into these bars and like I wouldn't drink. I would just kind of like hang out with them and just kind of like sit in the back, like sit in the booth and just kind of like enjoy myself, just like being with everybody. So I would never go up to the bar. So he never really like met me and we never communicated, but he would always see me. I was always like that like cute blonde girl. I peaked early on, guys. I was a good looking gal when I was younger. I mean, not to like make myself seem horrible now, but like I definitely was like the cute girl walking into the bar. I had like my little leather jacket, you know, wore like my little skinny jeans, had like my beautiful blonde hair. Totally me like 10 years ago. Camera's battery is going to die. We would like cross paths all the time just like that. I was actually dating somebody at one point, and Dan and I were standing like almost next to each other in my ex-boyfriend's house. They were filming a movie, and I'm just like standing there and like looking at Dan and being like, yeah, I know him, like I've seen him before. My friend would always try to like guess his name because they had like Christmas stockings hanging at one point, and we were like going through the list being like, nah, he doesn't look like that, he doesn't look like this, he doesn't look like that person. So when we were in the same room I was like, oh, guess who's here, like the guy we were trying to guess the name of, like blah 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 blah. So like that was another moment in our lives that like we crossed paths, and it's crazy. Dan and I talk about that moment all the time. We were standing next to each other in very close to one another in the same room, not realizing that one day we would be married and have children together. Like, it's so weird. We've got battery. Okay, like think about all the times that you guys have like stood in a room with somebody just like completely random and think that like one day you'd be married to them. Like, I don't know, it's just crazy to me. All right, so my feet are hurting. Oh, I don't wanna. Can we do that? Is that weird that I'm on an angle? That's fine, right guys? That's fine. Okay, to how we actually met. I ended up being in a zombie apocalypse movie, and I was the lead female role, right? Dan just so happened to be a videographer for that movie. So we were on set a lot together, and I was like, here is this guy like showing up in my life again, like again. And at that point I was still dating the person that I was dating before, but it was a really like unhealthy relationship. Unhealthy. It was just like I'm almost embarrassed to even say the things that I put up with in that relationship. It taught me a lot. It taught me a lot of things that I do not want in love. I wasn't abused physically. I wasn't abused emotionally. He was just super manipulative and a liar and didn't treat me right at all. Anyway, I'm not trying to just like, you know, I don't know what I'm just not trying to do that. The relationship was like coming to an end, and I was on the set, blah blah blah. Dan and I, like, we like barely spoke. I would like chat with him every once in a while, and one night I broke up with my boyfriend and I was just like done. 2 weeks had gone by, still done, all done. Like during that 2 week time I needed a job. So I knew that Dan had just started working at this new bar in town that just opened, and I went in one day and I was like, hey, I need a job. Can I like be a server or bartender, please? Like I have like a little bit of prior experience. And Dan wasn't there at the time, but the owner had asked Dan if he knew of me, and he said he did, and he put in a good word for me even though he didn't know me at all. And then we started working together, and we worked on Saturday nights together, just him and I behind the bar. That is where Dan and I really got to meet each other. Like, we learned how to work with each other in such unison and so efficiently. We became friends. It was really nice. He was really funny. He was very protective of me, even though I was just an acquaintance, not in like a disrespectful, like I can't handle myself kind of way, but in like a very like loving, like I got you if you need me type of way. And I really liked that about him. He would give me butterflies when he walked into the room. He would bring me coffee, and he would come to work early because there were nights that I worked during the day and then he worked at nighttime, so we were like swapping shifts, and he would come in and he would just kind of like sit and chat with me. It was a really beautiful start to a relationship. So at this point, most of the time that Dan and I have hung out is either A, at work, or B, on the movie set, the zombie movie. Zombie movie was coming to an end. We were continuing to work together. And from like October when I started working to December, we were like good friends. Then, then one day I was like, listen, let's hang out. Like, let's like hang out. Let's do something like outside of work, outside of the movie set. Like you and me, let's just like hang out, right? Just being like suave. And he was like, okay. And then never wanted to hang out with me. And I was like, do you not want to hang out with me? I was at work. He was like, yeah, no, like totally. What do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know, like we can like go here, go there. And he was like, okay, yeah, cool. And then like it would never happen. And I was like, okay, fine. And I said to my friend this one night, I was like, if he does not come and hang out with me this time, I am not, I'm done. I'm deading this whole situation. I'm done. Literally my entire life, dating, engagement, marriage, Cooper, Willa, everything, this YouTube channel, everything in our lives almost didn't happen if Dan did not come and hang out with me this one night. Because I was like, I'm not going to just keep chasing after this guy. Like, I don't do that. I'm not gonna do that. Like, if he doesn't want to hang out with me, he doesn't want to hang out with me, that's fine. He finally was like, yeah, sure, what do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know, you have a Jeep, right? A Jeep Wrangler. I have a Jeep Wrangler. You just got yours. You've never had the top off of your Jeep Wrangler. I'll take the top off of my Jeep Wrangler, put a hoodie on at nighttime when it's cold. It's really fun. We'll take the top down off my Jeep Wrangler. I'll come pick you up. We'll just drive around. You'll get to experience it, like what it's like to have, you know, like the top off of your Wrangler. And then we'll just like go hang out and go sit somewhere, whatever, you know, we'll figure it out from there. So he's like, oh, okay, cool. Did that, went and got him, picked him up, went to a place in Austining, and I showed him like all of our favorite, like I showed him like my little favorite spots that I've actually never brought anyone else to. We were literally just sitting there and we were just talking, and we were talking about like the future and what we wanted our lives to be like, and just like we never ran out of things to talk about, and we still to this day never run out of things to talk about. It's so weird, even though we're together like 24/7. So we were there. Then I brought him to a swing set, and we sat on the swings and we just like swung back and forth. We were like really falling in love with each other, like in those moments. And then I dropped him back off at his house, and that was it. Nothing happened, nothing. Not a kiss on the cheek, not like a hug, not like a handshake or a high five, nothing happened. And I was like, okay. Like, all right, I guess, like, you know, whatever. Then the following week he came over to my house to watch Walking Dead, and eventually he kissed me, and I literally pulled away from the kiss, and I was like, it's about time. It's literally about time that you kissed me. That's like an ongoing joke in our relationship, because I was like, it's about time. Like it was like this just adorable, wonderful little kiss, and then I'm like pulling away and I'm like, it's about time that you kiss me. Like, what the heck? Like, why are you making me wait so long? Like, I don't understand. Like, are you into me? Like, I was just like, okay, finally this happened. Talking about it back now, like talking to him now about it and going over those moments, he said that he was like, I was so far out of his league in every way, shape, or form, that he was like, how could this girl possibly want anything to do with me? And that he was like, it wasn't even a question. Like, I just wasn't obviously going to like ruin our friendship because you clearly didn't want anything to do with me. And meanwhile, I'm over here like, why doesn't he like me? Like, I like him a lot. So yeah. So then we kissed. Then we decided to take an impromptu trip to Atlantic City one weekend. That was a lot of fun. We sat at a bar in one of the casinos, and he held my hand and he told me that he thought he was falling in love with me, and I was like, oh yes. Like, yay. Like, I like love this kid already. Like, I like love everything about him, and he just felt like my missing puzzle piece. He just felt like everything that I had ever been looking for in a person, not just like a guy, but like in a friend, in like a lifelong companion. It was really exciting that I had found him. That trip almost didn't happen because I actually slept in accidentally. We were supposed to leave at 8 and I woke up at 12, and he was like knocking on my door apparently and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a lot of things that like could have gone wrong in these situations. But yeah, we did eventually end up like officially being boyfriend and girlfriend that day. That was December 2nd. We were walking outside of the casino and he had one of those like claddagh rings on his thumb, and I flipped it and I turned it inside out, or facing inward, and that meant that like your heart was taken. And ever since then we were just boyfriend and girlfriend, and that was it. We were inseparable. We moved in together. Well, first we moved to Colorado like 2 weeks later. Moved to Colorado for like 2 weeks, sold everything, eventually needed to come back because we ran out of money. The story like goes on. We've done some crazy stuff in our lives, Dan and I. But yeah, so that's how Dan and I met. It was meant to be. We have crossed paths so many times, and then eventually it was just the right time. We learned to work well together as friends and like co-workers first, and that really created a strong foundation for our relationship. And then we went into the relationship both really just being like, hey, this is who I am, and you either, you know, really like it or you don't. We weren't fake or anything like that because we were just so jaded from love. And yeah, it was really wonderful. We hit it off, and it was just a great relationship. It still is. It's so different now, so different, to the point where like now we've been talking the past few days that we really want to, we've been talking the past few days, we feel like we've gotten to a point in our lives where we have a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old. They're not independent by any means, but they are a little bit more independent. And I'm not breastfeeding anymore. We just think that it's really time to put some more emphasis on ourselves and our marriage. And we seem to go throughout our days very strategically recently, just to try to get as much done as we can. We don't really do like date nights, and we don't date each other. And we've just decided that it's time to do that. We've put our children first for a really long time and sacrificed a lot in our marriage. But now it's kind of time to go on dates and, you know, flirt again and love each other, love like on each other, you know, again, instead of just being like really efficient partners and loving best friends. Does that make sense? You know, I've read a lot about marriage and like relationships in my life, and experience a lot of marriages and relationships that look different. And I feel like the true, real relationships that last the decades and decades and decades until old age the two people in it have always been accepting of change, and at the end of the day always show up for their spouse. And your relationship might have hiccups and bumps in the road, and heck, they can even have mountains. You might have a really bad day, a really bad week, even like a really bad year, but at the end of the day you show up for your spouse because you made those vows and because that's the person that you chose in your life. So many people don't talk about the ups and downs of marriage, and when you're in a marriage yourself, you're so naive, you think that every single day is supposed to be like the best day, and sometimes it's just not, you know. But you have to kind of go back and think to yourself, why did I fall in love with this person? What made me fall in love with this person? Where are we now in our lives? What are things that I really appreciate about this person? And just hold your promise. I don't know. So anyway, I'm rambling now, but this video was actually not supposed to be a separate video. It was supposed to be in the Q&A that I posted, but it needed its own video, guys. It just does. The story is just way too long, and I didn't want to leave like any real details out of it, so I figured we would just make it a tiny little casual, you know, chit chat. But yeah, that is the end of that story, guys. That is it. That is how Dan and I met. Zombie movies, crazy stuff. Just, you know, crazy stuff happened. But yeah, anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. As always, love you, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.